3, 2, 1. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Into the Groove. This is a podcast about local music with me, your host, David Steele, and with me is
Kenna Attaway. I am a journalist.
Yeah, music journalist.
Yes.
And also a photographer and fellow media person.
Yeah. I kind of do it all at this point in time.
That's what Nick...
Photographer's generous, though. Thank you.
No, yeah.
Thank
well,
you.
because, you are, I think, at least upcoming photographer.
I'm trying my best.
Talking about, techniques and stuff like that. But, yeah. So, Kenna's back. If you maybe have remembered, it's been about a year since we've done a podcast
It's been a hot minute.
We've done maybe 3, I think. This might be the 4th one.
This is the 4th one for sure, because I looked at my blog.
Yeah. So, we used to try to, we were trying to make this a thing, and hopefully we can.
1,000%, yes.
Get more into a routine with it, at least do, because I like doing, because it seems like it's hard to, even once a month seems like a little bit too often, just because I might not go to a show for 2 months.
That's
you know
fair,
what I mean?
Yeah. Especially for me during my school year. It's been hard for me to go out and put myself out there with shows.
So hopefully you all will like this episode. We're going to talk a little bit about Nora Music Festival and also whatever shows we've been to since we've last get together. I wanted to talk to you and kind of do a catch up and see what you've been up to since last summer. You're living here in the city now?
No.
Oh, okay. So you're still living in Norman?
I am now back in Norman.
Here.
I did live in the city for a bit, but as we know, this economy is a little bit rough.
Okay.
And my job that I was at was not paying the bills.
Mm-hmm.
So I moved back in with the rents. That's totally fine. It is what it is.
That's good.
And they're lovely.
It's good to have that option.
Have really let me focus on school and my education, which has really helped me out a lot as a person.
So, but you are going to school in the city, right?
I'm going to school at UCO in Edmond, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's quite a drive.
It's like a 40-minute drive 4 days out of the week, but it is what it is.
A lot of people do that. I mean, I've known a lot of people that have done that, because it's even from here in this part of the city, it's still 30 minutes up there. So
it's a drive for sure.
Yeah. So you're studying journalism and broadcast?
Yes. So UCO calls it pro media.
Okay. Cool.
But it's journalism and broadcast into kind of one giant combined degree, which you can have your gripes with. I have my gripes with, but I am becoming very well rounded. As a kind of media person.
It's nice because that's what I was gonna say, because Nick always calls me whenever he's introducing me to wherever, he's like, yeah, that's my media guy. So you're a fellow media guy.
I love it. I love to hear it.
Put that on my business card.
Yes.
It does kind of sum it up, I think, in a lot of ways.
For sure.
It's I do a lot. I do photography, podcasts, video editing, all that stuff. So
I definitely, I do pretty much all of it, but also not many people at school know how much I do outside of school.
Yeah. That's cool.
So it's nice to honestly do this and start this up again, because I've missed it.
It's kind of, it's good just to talk about the scene. And
1,000%.
Because you're also a writer, you have a blog.
Yes, kensgroove.com.
Yes.
Kensgrooves.com, yes.
Yes, that's the new domain that you've set up.
Yes, official domain name.
So it's a new website, isn't it? Or is
No, it's the old blog. I just bought the domain name for it.
Because you had mentioned Squarespace. So I was wondering if you used Squarespace to make a new website or whatever. But that's cool.
I will say it needs to be updated.
Yeah.
Very much
That's what I was going to ask you,
yes.
if you have had any new interviews, or I haven't looked at it lately. I should have in preparation, but
I actually did have an interview earlier in the spring semester.
Okay.
For me, I interviewed No More, Nicolette Moore.
Oh, okay.
And
I've heard of them, but I'll have to read that, because I'm curious to know more about them.
She is really wonderful, and she kind of told me about hypnagogic pop, which is what she likes to make.
Cool.
And she does a lot of concept work all her work is amazing. And like, if you're really into concept albums and like, seeing more art with music, because she combines art that she gets from individuals or herself. So like if you buy one of her EPs or albums on Bandcamp, like it will often come with like an art piece or like kind of a little special like Easter egg of something from the album and things like that. So I really like the different mixing of mediums that she does.
That's what I was telling you a little bit about my friend Armand, who's the DJ Ex Machina.
Yes.
He's very similar, I think, to that. Is like he does a lot of cassette tapes with all his releases, and and they're all like individually like hand done, I guess, and he'll like write on them like like he's like cool like metallic Sharpies and stuff like that, so it looks cool.
That's so fun.
I think even the tapes themselves, he uses like kind of the cool like clear, like but they're like colored, like purple or
yes. I know exactly.
So
what you mean.
it's very very artistic because he's a visual artist as well. So he uses that, but similar to that, I think that's awesome. That I like to see artists or musicians and artists that do that. So. Does that artist, you said they collaborate with other visual artists as well?
Yeah. So I think it was a song she released, if I remember correctly, and please forgive me, Nicola. It's been a bit in a long semester. But she had a song release called Castles, and she had commissioned an art piece to come along with that. Yeah. So that's kind of the album art.
Nice.
And then on top of that, she, I think... and if you buy the song, the Easter egg you get is like an early recording of it in the works, which I think is so cool.
Oh, yeah. That's
for sure.
That's something that I always liked about, or I've always thought about with that kind of stuff. Because it's like if you're doing like, bonuses, right? Like, or like if you have like a Patreon, which I think some people do, it's like you have to have something for that, fan that subscribes to that, and it's like you could do like a demos, unreleased demos and stuff like that.
So I think that's honestly something I've been seeing a lot more in the scene, kind of like popping up here and there. Yeah. And I actually did another podcast today. Yeah. Kind of podcast, more like interview style.
With?
It was with Gavin Taylor, Muffled Siren, the Muffled Siren, and his band, The Sirens.
Yes. Is it Gavin Taylor and the Muffled Sirens? Okay, switched it.
I'm going to be so honest, I'm not 100% sure. I know he wants me to introduce him as the Muffled Siren.
Cool.
So that is what I have been doing. And I got to speak with him and his beautiful, amazing girlfriend, Gracie Hart. And she's an actress and artist within the scene as well. Cool. But she does, she and him kind of put on this very beautiful cabaret-esque style, like concert musical situation at Norman Music Fest. And she acted in
performs during the show. Cool.
And she also helped design like the album art for his album that he's going to be releasing soon. I feel like I can say that.
Yeah.
He told me in the interview today. So
if it's as long as you don't want to spoil a date or anything, but
he has a lot of the songs out, I think, on Spotify and everything, but. Yeah, it was just beautiful to hear kind of how they collaborate with physical mediums and
I love that because I love performance art of all kinds. I mean, that's why I'm so fascinated with stand-up comedy but I mean also acting and all kinds of stuff like that. But I'll have to check them out. I missed them at Norman Music Fest. Did you get to see them there?
I saw them very briefly. I was like genuinely being pulled in all sorts of directions, but I also know Gavin and I've talked to Gavin and I've interviewed Gavin before. Right. So I knew the idea and I've listened to his music. So I knew a general idea.
And did you interview both of them together?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I thought I was just interviewing Gavin at first and then Gracie tagged along and honestly it ended up working out beautifully because she had a lot of really cool things to tell about the set and just like her own personal art and experiences. And the story of like them together and them collaborating together is not something we often see anymore. Couples doing art pieces together. Yeah. I feel like that's definitely something from the 20th century. Definitely like 70s, 80s.
Right, yeah, that makes sense. I do know, I mean, I know at least I can think of like even the bands that we're going to talk about today, like I know two of them at least are couples that are, and And I can even name 3 like locally. I mean, it kind of maybe isn't that uncommon, but it is, it's not like the most common thing for sure. But yeah, I love that though. So I think that's the best thing. I think that's something that I always struggled with in the past was when I had a relationship and I was trying to do music or whatever. And it's like, if that person isn't, because most of my past relationships they weren't creative people really. Yeah. So it's like, it was tough because like they don't understand, Yes. So it's like if you have those 2 people that are both musicians, they kind of can collaborate.
And it was cool because like Gavin does do physical art and Gracie does strictly like I think physical art, and she acts as well. Yeah, but it was just really cool to see kind of how they collaborate with one another and like uplift each other, but also like critique each other in like the best way possible. So it was cool to see that kind of like connection between 2 individuals. I have not seen that in a long time. Yeah, for sure.
Definitely nice to see and very helpful because I think that's something that we, anyone out there trying to create or trying to make something of yourself, it's such a hard thing to motivate yourself. And if you have somebody that can help push you and you can lean on each other to kind of, whenever you're feeling like you're not doing enough, they can kind of help push you. So I just see that with Nick and Liz, Nick Campbell, and his wife. They do a lot of creative things and really help each other and do that. So I'll be lucky if I can have that one day.
You will have it one day.
Hopefully, but we'll see. But yeah, so, and then where can people find that interview? Are you going to put it out anywhere?
I'm putting it out in a lot of different areas. Okay. I'm doing a lot with it. Part of it was for,
like your school
class project. That's like a final, but then also I'm kind of been workshopping maybe starting a YouTube channel where I do a lot of like music content, and not all of it would be local per se, but I also talked with my admin today kind of about, hey, like I know this podcast studio is available to me for all students. Like, how would you feel if I started a podcast next semester where I interview ACM people strictly, so we kind of keep that like UCO ACM connection alive, because I feel like it's not talked about enough.
That is a part of the school, right?
Yeah, it's a school. It's a branch of UCO.
It's a different play. I mean, it's completely different place, but it's still
it's under the UCO. I would say name.
I knew that, but I forgot. It's I don't know a ton of people from there. I remember when it first started, I would know a few people here and there that would go there, but
it's honestly been popping off a lot more with, I would say, my generation of people. I've definitely seen like a lot more individuals going there and getting that hands-on experience, which I think is really beautiful.
That's cool. So all right, well, that's really awesome. I can't wait to see that, and hopefully. So I love YouTube. I'd love to see you go into that, because I think it's, especially local YouTube stuff is very, I don't know. I know like a few people that do it, but not enough.
That's what I'm saying, is I don't know many people in Oklahoma who do the YouTube thing or whatever. And honestly, like I listen to concept albums all the time, and I always have thoughts on like albums, so it'd be kind of like an album review thing
that'd be
as well.
great. That's the thing, is like you could just do videos, you wouldn't have to rely on anyone else.
Exactly.
You could just do a video of yourself talking about like a review or something.
Exactly.
Cool.
So
that's something I'd like to do more too. It's like just doing solo stuff that's like kind of a review or whatever it is. Because it's pretty easy. I mean, at least you're on your own time. You don't have
to I could upload whenever I want, and I'm not necessarily worried about like a follower base going into it. I've never really cared about that.
I think it's for us too. I feel like you just got to start doing it, and then that will come. But I think a lot of it is just start doing it so you can practice and get better at it.
Exactly.
And then, because that's the problem, right? It's like if you had like 1,000 followers like tomorrow, and it's like, well, and you don't feel confident that that quality is there, you know what I mean? You want it to grow with you, I think.
Exactly. So. It's honestly, it's a growing process, I think, for everyone. And if you're satisfied with your work, you're a fool. In my opinion.
I like that for sure. I mean, I definitely, that's probably my life's motto, even though I've never really said it. But it's like I'm never satisfied with the quality of my work. So, but I think that's why I am as good as I am at anything because of that. Like, I always say something about self-doubt that, I have a lot of self-doubt, but I think that I've learned to be grateful for it in a way, because if without it, where would I be? I'd just be sitting on the couch completely happy with my life and, not doing anything. So it's definitely something that you can kind of use to motivate and push yourself to get better.
For sure. Absolutely. I feel like a lot of our weaknesses are also our strengths at the end of the day.
Yeah, you can't, or if you can, especially if you can turn them into strengths, and,
Yes, exactly.
That's
it's
the best.
Just perspective.
Right. All right. Well, that was good. And then, so I guess one last thing about before we switch topics, but what have you got coming up as far as like interviews or podcasts or anything that you want to do, maybe?
Yeah.
Or have planned that you want to talk about?
I have a lot of ideas all the time.
Yeah, same here. Yeah.
The semester's finally ending for me, which is beautiful.
Yeah, so you can maybe have some time to make them happen.
Exactly. I will say I currently work as a multimedia journalist. Well, the semester's about to end in literally less than a week. But nice. I worked as a multimedia journalist this semester at U Central News, which was very beneficial for me. And I'm applying to be a producer for U Central News next semester. So you can always tune in to U Central News. They do like a Facebook live stream, and you can also catch them on Cox.
And what do y'all do there? Is it just kind of...
It's a 30-minute live newscast. Yeah. So we just like genuinely... share the news, public, national. Okay. I want to do more local if I'm a producer. Yeah. Obviously, it's a great way for students to have that hands-on, like, actual newsroom experience.
Yeah, that's awesome. Sure. That's something that I've talked about a little bit with Nick, is like I would love to do like a monthly news thing that's just like about entertainment in Oklahoma, but it's like it's a lot of work, obviously, just to the producing of of getting all the stories together and doing all that, and it
has to be like like what's relevant now and what's not relevant, and you probably have to go out at the beginning of the month. But I think Zoe Travers, please forgive me, Zoe, if your last name has changed. I know you did get married recently, but
congratulations to them.
she
does the zine.
The zine at the Metropolitan Library, and it has a bunch of stuff.
What's the name of it again? Is it
Unami?
Yeah,
Umami. It's like
strange,
the sixth taste bud. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it is Unami.
I know because it's but it isn't like it's like an acronym, right? Like underground something.
Yes.
We'll post a link.
Yes, we're so sorry, Zoe.
But I was picking that up. They have it at my Mycelium Gallery. Yeah. Or they
try and get them, especially Jarvix with Make Oklahoma Weirder. He tries and brings them out to different local venues. So it's not just at the library.
I know they have like the Opolis. And
I've seen a couple at the Opolis in and out. And I've written for that zine before, and it's free to write, so it's really cool. It's a great, if you're a writer, write for them. It's great.
Could you like submit it, or you just
there's an email submission, and I can
send in
get
your
that
article
posted.
Cool. So you don't even have to really know them or anything. Cool.
I mean, it definitely helps, but like Zoe really does like genuinely go through every story. So.
That's someone I need to have on the podcast soon, actually.
No, she is genuinely wonderful, and she is actually like genuinely a journalist within the scene as well. I know she writes for Free Press. And I know she kind of freelances other places as well, but she does work at the Metropolitan Library as like a consistent job. Yes,
in the actual.
I think communications. I haven't spoken to her in a while, but yeah, shout out Zoe. I love her. She's helped me out a lot, honestly. And then. What else am I doing? Podcast, YouTube channel potentially happening. I'm going to update the blog soon. I got about 2 articles in the works for and about Norman Music Fest because I did have a press pass this year. And I guess that's kind of like a great segue into Norman Music Fest.
For sure, absolutely. Because I wanted to kind of do that catch up, but that was our main reason for being here today. Is Norman Music Festival just happened. It was, you know the dates?
It was April 24th through the 26th.
Yeah. So I was there on April 24th, Thursday night, which Thursday is, I think, pretty.
It's kind of more of a rough day of the festival, I'd say.
I think it's, but I was going to say, I think that's my favorite day.
Oh, okay.
In a lot of ways, or for some reasons. Obviously, it's
definitely more intimate. I will say that. Rough was probably the wrong word, but
I think it has been because it's usually probably the least attended day.
Yes, I think that's what I meant by rough entirely.
But I would
say all
the
musicians are wonderful.
Yeah. But I would say this past Thursday, it seemed like it was probably the busiest Thursday that I've seen in the past 3 years at least.
Honestly, I completely agree. Especially like. I've been going to Norman Music Fest consistently since they put it back on. I want to say in 2022.
I'm pretty sure I would.
Festival once more.
I'm similar. I mean, obviously, I'd been there many years previous, but I had stopped going for a long time too until that post-pandemic one. I remember going to that one. I think it was 2020.
It was 2022 because I drove down from Colorado for it.
And then, so 2023, I played in for the only time since 2012, actually.
Oh, wow.
But, but it was so funny because I remember going to that 2022 one and I remember thinking, like, and I was just like, that was such a weird time for me because, like, I was, like, just deathly afraid of leaving the house for many of that time.
I think most people can share that fear.
It was that kind of first getting out and like, oh wow, this is like life again.
Yeah.
And then I just remember thinking like, man, it'd be so cool to play here again. And then of course a year later I was playing there, which I would have never thought I would.
Yeah.
But it just happened to turn out that we got to play. But
was that with Stolen Cable?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, we got kind of lucky because, and this is something we can kind of talk a little bit about just because I think it is an important topic about the festival is just, applying and what do you think about like the lineup or as far as like maybe the bigger stages? Because a lot of the smaller stages, they book their own
They do.
bands.
So yeah, every because I do know a couple people who do booking for NMF.
Yeah.
So local venues, they book their own musicians. It's not really up to Norman Music Fest, who, at least to my understanding.
Yeah, well, that's something I learned because I remember Make It Look Weirder had a big on their Instagram story on the Thursday. I remember looking at it before I had headed out there, but they had a little type in your own thing prompt, and they're basically asking people to vent about the festival.
Oh, and I didn't see that on the page.
It was
that was this year?
It was on, like I said, I just saw it that Thursday afternoon is whenever it was up on the Instagram. So, and then they were reposting a bunch of people's gripes, and it was all anonymous, of course.
Yeah.
And but it was a lot of people complaining. It's like, oh, they've applied 5 years in a row, never get picked, never, and then and I was looking through all of that because I was very curious because that's something that I've always applied, and then and we just you never hear anything. It's like whatever, but it's like and you kind of, I think as a musician, as a band, you kind of have your your thoughts about that. You're like, well, maybe our Instagram following isn't big enough or whatever, and it's like, but it's such a weird thing because I think for the big stages, obviously those people. I mean, you have to be established if you expect to be, and you have to be, you pretty
Especially
much know,
main stage.
You pretty much know if you're going to be able to get on that stage or not, you know what I mean? And the fascinating thing I learned, and part of it was maybe through that Instagram story on Make It Look Weirder, but it was, I learned about like, it was one of the things was the venues book their own bands because that's how Stolen Cable got on. We got lucky because Red Brick Bar had posted on
I love Red Brick Bar
Facebook the couple months leading into it, or maybe even less, maybe like a month before, and where it's like looking for bands to fill out their lineup. And so we posted, and they put us on, and we actually got a really good slot that year. We were good. We were like at 7 or 8 p.m.
Oh,
on
that's like
Friday.
prime time.
Yeah, it was perfect.
For sure.
And like a ton of people. It was great. And I love the Red Brick Bar too. I used to play there a lot. pre-pandemic, because they used to book a lot of local, like, original acts.
Yes.
Not so much these days, but...
Yeah, I definitely think it's been harder, though.
Yeah, I think for them, I think that it's a part of it is just they need to have, their venue, I think, is kind of, they want, like, more of a background band instead of, like, a main act.
It's not like the Deli, I would say. But I will say the Deli in Norman definitely has, I know all their musicians. I know who plays all the days. I don't know all the musicians.
Yeah, but they have like certain.
They have more people crowd interaction than I would say Red Brick does, like on a regular night.
So I mean, I kind of get that for sure, and I think that they it's probably easier for them, and they don't have to worry about selling tickets, because I think that it's like
if you start selling tickets, that's like a whole nother level, and then you have to pay for security, which is a whole nother thing as well.
Yeah. But regardless, Red Brick is a great venue for sure.
Oh my goodness. I spent most of my time actually in Red Brick at this festival.
But yeah, anyway, so getting back to real quick was the kind of the process. Oh, so this is something I've learned was like, okay, so if the venues, if you're a smaller band, and you're probably not quite ready for the big stage even, and it's like, and you want to play, it's like, apply, of course. You want to be on, their radar. But I would say, like, you have to establish relationships with those smaller venues, like Red Brick and Opolis. And it's like, if you know those people, they're going to, you can book there. But the one trick that I found out is, like, if you're just worried about playing at the small venues, I'm pretty sure you don't even have to apply to the festival at all.
No.
Is what I've learned was like, and that kind of blew my mind because
it's like it's a private business.
It doesn't matter at that point. Yeah. And it's just like, man, that kind of sucks, because like I would always get stressed out in December, because it's like whenever the deadline,
like the call and
it's
everything.
like, okay, we got to get all our stuff in order. And then and I think last year, because me and Josh were trying to start up a new band.
How's that going, by the way?
It's not.
Okay, understood.
But it's a lot. I mean, I really am struggling to find time, even if.
And he's a teacher too, right?
Yeah, I mean, he could, he really wanted to do it, but it's also not just me, but the other members. One of the lead guitar player we had is going to be moving, I think, in the fall, so it's like one of those things. And then the drummer, we had a phenomenal drummer.
Yeah, he was great.
He was on the OU drum line, and so he was just, and he does a lot of drum competitions, so he's just always busy, and it was just hard because we had a show that we were supposed to play in I think April, it was about a month ago. But
it was at ACM, right? Yeah,
but we had to drop out because we just didn't have time to rehearse. I mean, it was coming up to it, and we had like one rehearsal, and we were just like, but it just is what it is. I think a part of it too is like I feel like we were trying to force it a little bit, which, sometimes you have to. I mean, if you really want a band, you kind of have to do what you got to do to make it happen, but it just didn't. I don't know. I don't think it's quite the right time, and maybe the right project even for us. But I'll never stop playing with those guys.
Yeah.
And Josh is doing a ton of stuff, solo stuff now.
Yeah, I've been seeing.
He's been doing some recording with a producer that goes to ACM. There's a.
Was he the guy rapping?
Messenger is artist name. I think his name's Landon.
He was at the house show this December. Home for the holidays. Once again, that was wonderful. I loved that.
Yeah, you were there for sure.
Well, of course.
That was it seemed like a little bit of a. Because it was only 5 months ago, but it seemed like it was forever. I don't know.
It seems like a decade ago, honestly.
Like I kind of forgot all about it almost. But
I think about it often, actually.
It was, I'm always surprised at how well those turn out in the past 2 or 3 years that we've been doing them again. But
I honestly feel like even if you don't have a full band next December, you should try and get other people
for sure
as well. And I'm willing to help you with that as well.
Yeah, I've always wanted to do that too, because even whenever there was some years that I didn't have a band that I wanted to try to do, like book someone else and just have a party. But I don't know. That's part of the thing too. Is like I was telling you a little bit about like trying to find a bigger place for myself in general. So like maybe maybe by the time it's time for the next one, maybe I'll have another house. We'll see.
We'll see.
Like with more space, because that's the problem. Is like it was hard enough to get us in here, but it's like I would hate to have to cram another, have another band in here. And it's just the logistics of all that.
It's a lot for sure.
We'll see though.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think that's one of my favorite things about doing house shows is that I'm in control of everything, and like you don't have to worry about booking with other dates and finding a date with a venue, and then I don't know, it's just something. And people really like house shows.
They're my favorite way to view music, but I've
definitely
said that a lot.
We've had these conversations at least a couple times. But
I will always prefer to go to a house show.
There's something about them that's very kind of more.
It's
intimate.
more intimate.
Yeah.
It's more community based. It's more kind of, I guess, back to Norman Music Fest, something I really genuinely experienced this year, which is something I've not experienced a lot in the local scene and just in like bigger name artist venues as well, is genuine human connection. Like no phone out, like we are here, we are present in the moment, and we want to see these people perform. And I think that was just something so beautiful. The amount of conversations I just had with strangers who came up to me, or I came up to them and complimented them, and then it turned into a full-blown conversation is not something I've experienced in a very long time. Yeah,
that's interesting, because I do think you're probably right. I think it's, especially now, we're like at least a couple good years after the pandemic. I mean, it's, technically still a pandemic, I guess. But it's like people were so afraid of each other for so many years.
The depths of the pandemic, I would say, yeah.
And so now we're like I feel like far enough on the other side of it to where it's like people are more comfortable in having, meeting strangers and not feeling like, oh, I have to stand back, So
it feels like things are starting to come to a sense of normalcy again.
For sure.
For sure.
Yeah, I felt like that last year at the festival, but I would say, this year for sure. It's probably even more so. So we are now taking donations to help support Rhythm and Wit. It's called buymeacoffee.com/rhythm and wit. And that is where you can go and just donate any amount. I think that what they do is, it's called Buy Me a Coffee. You can buy us 1 cup of coffee, costs $5. So you can just donate $5, and that will maybe buy one of us a coffee.
So we'll sip on it together.
We'll split it. So you can do that, or you can buy us 10 cups of coffee if you wanted to. So, I mean, that's like a $50 donation, and then that's all goes there. You can leave us a message on there, and if you do leave us a message, we will certainly read it on the air, and thank you for your support. And any of the money that we take from Buy Me a Coffee, or any donations at all, we are going to use to put back into the show, whether it's buying new equipment, maybe some mics or cameras or lights or anything like that, or maybe even promoting and just trying to grow the audience, because that's something that I'd like to get into, is buying some ads and things like that to try to grow our audience that way.
Absolutely.
And of course that costs money, so we would love it if you could support us. If you have the means, please go to buymeacoffee.com/rhythm and wit. Rhythm and Wit. So let's just get into it, because I guess I can kind of go through my stuff, because I know you were there. You said
I was there all 3 days.
you probably have a lot more to say than I do. So I was just there Thursday, and I wanted to go. My plan was to go Saturday, but I mean, a big part of it, like in kind of wrapping up on that conversation, was like there was nothing really that drew me out there Saturday. You know what I mean? Like there was a couple of bands, like I would have loved to see Stepmom. I don't think I've still ever actually seen Stepmom.
They did really good. I was at that set, but I was also, the documentary crew I was with was covering Stepmom.
So I was really about to go just to see them, but and then Original Flow and the Waves played Saturday also. So I would have liked to see both of those, but like I said, I don't know. Other than that, it wasn't like Thursday. There was like 5 bands or more that I wanted to see, and like Friday there were some, but I was busy Friday. I couldn't make it out. And then so Saturday I was just kind of a little bit disappointed with the lineup in general. I feel like this year. What did you think about that? Like, generally, before we get into more specifics.
I will say that the Norman Music Fest, I wish I was old enough to go to. Like I had went during the days, but I could not like go to venues at night, obviously, because I was 17 at the time. It was when Beach Fossils performed.
Okay, yeah.
Beach Fossils has always been like one of my favorite bands, and Soccer Mommy performed that year too. And like it really, I think, drew in a huge crowd because they were very up and coming in the indie scene, and they were bigger names within the indie scene as well.
And they're not local, right?
No,
no. Yeah, they're more
I will say after the pandemic, I have seen a very big turnaround where it's mostly local bands.
Yeah.
Now I love that.
Which is good.
Don't get me wrong.
In a way.
I think it's amazing, and I love seeing local musicians. I will say I have seen a lot of local musicians, and I do see local musicians on a regular basis.
I mean, that's the thing, right? Is like because as great as Stepmom and Original Flow are, they're not. They play here all the time.
Yeah, and they play at other free festivals.
Yeah,
you know what
so
I mean?
it's
like they're at Pride, and Pride is free.
Which they might be a draw somewhere else, but for here, it's like it's just not. I don't know. It was a little bit disappointing for me because last year, unfortunately, they canceled this whole Saturday.
They did,
But they did have. Was it Always? Was supposed to play,
yes,
which I love. I would have loved to see that, and they unfortunately couldn't play at all, but. But yeah, at least they had. To me, and then I think the year before they had.
They had the drums.
Yeah,
and I love the drums. I've been listening to them since I was 15.
I will say, just a bit of criticism, but it's, for whatever reason, it sucks that they can't have. Back in the day, there's a band called the Walkmen. I don't know if you're familiar.
I've heard of them. Yeah.
They were. I think they came out in maybe in the early 2000s. Yeah, because I was in high school. But I saw them. They played at Norman Music Fest, and that was incredible. And especially for me as a huge Walkman fan, getting to see. And another one was the Dirty Projectors.
I also know the Garden performed at NMF years ago, and I think one of the biggest draws of crowds was you could see these bigger names and kind of more of these niche scenes, and you could see them for free.
Yeah, it was.
So I would be interested. And talking honestly to the coordinators of NMF and the NMF board, just to see kind of what that process is honestly nowadays. Yeah. And is it are we seeing a more decline in big, I hate to say bigger, outside of Oklahoma artists.
More well-known, you know what I mean?
Which is what I think drew crowds from outside of Norman. Right. Now I feel like Norman Music Fest has really become the Normanite Central, which is not a bad thing. Yeah. And again, I love being able to see local artists who I adore for free. It's wonderful. But I also see the local artists I love for free often and probably every week. So it would be nice kind of to see a few bigger names. I didn't watch the headliner this year, not because I didn't want to. I was taken away. I was doing a lot.
Because you're working. It's not like
I was working
the
festival as well, which I'm very grateful for, honestly. It was definitely a different perspective being able to be press at that festival, for sure.
That's awesome. Yeah, I never did apply for Press Pass. I could have. I think I had thought about it last year, but there obviously there are some perks. Maybe you could talk about that. But to me, it was you don't need it. Really. Like I said, what all did it? You got? I know you get to get closer to the bigger stages and behind the barricade. But what else did you kind of benefit from that?
Honestly, to be so real, I did not even use my pass to get in front of the barricade. Right. One, I was having camera issues. But I was able to definitely talk. I felt more comfortable being able to, and more, I guess having that pass made me feel I can go up to this musician and I can compliment them and say, hey, if you ever want an interview with me, I do this on the side. I do this for a living.
It gives you a little bit of credibility.
Yes. I think that's what I liked the most about being a press person. And also press, they had press passes and then they had media passes. So photographers mainly had media passes, but because I applied under my news station's entity, school. And because I was making content for my news station as well.
So I didn't realize there was a press, and usually it's just one. I think at most different, because I've gotten passes at we did Blue Whale Festival, the big comedy festival in Tulsa, and that was incredible. We got to get into so many shows that were sold out because
you had the press.
Yeah, and it was incredible. But yeah, obviously that's something about Norm Music Festival, and I've said this to people before, but it's like if they charge tickets, they could bring in. I think that's a part of it, right?
People, yeah.
But obviously, there's
and I'll never know the inner workings of that committee board, and I'm honestly just thankful that it keeps happening every year because it really does bring a lot more notice to those local artists.
Yeah.
Because you do often have to pay to go to a local show. Yeah. Especially if you are not photographing for them. If you're just wanting to go and check out a new local band, Norman Music Fest is a beautiful way to expose yourself to the Oklahoma
And that's
music
something
scene.
I've always liked about it, too, is that I get to kind of catch up with, there's so many bands that you'll follow. It's like, oh, I like this band, but I've only seen them once or I've never seen them.
Or they don't really do shows often, but then they're free at Norman Music Fest.
But that's the thing. It's I usually go to Norman Music Fest and then kind of catch a bunch of bands that I've been meaning to see. So, I'll just get into it a little bit because most of the bands I saw...
who did you see Thursday?
So, okay.
Because I didn't see many people. I kind of just wandered around. Also, it was my birthday, though. So,
which, happy birthday again.
Thank
you. I saw you on Thursday.
Yes,
so
we met up.
It was cool to at least get to catch up for a little bit.
Yes, absolutely. I'm glad we also got to schedule this. So.
Speaking of, because that Thursday, I got there about 7:30. I wanted to go to the comedy show that was at Legally Brewed,
That's
obviously.
What I thought. Legally Brewed did mainly comedy this year, right?
Well, no, they just had that one night for comedy.
Okay. I thought they were doing comedy all 3
No,
nights.
I think they had music the rest of the weekend.
Okay.
But the Thursday night, it was at least maybe an hour and a half, or I don't know exactly how long. Maybe it was an hour. I don't know. But they had 6 comedians, and then the host, which is Steve Wampus Reynolds. Good guy. He does a lot of comedy there at Legally Brewed throughout the year. So if you're in Norman, and I think it's usually I can't remember if it's the first or I think it's the first Wednesday of the month. Anyways, he does, but he's been doing some other things. But he's a producer there, so he had a lot of. Most of these people are friends of mine, so I felt like obviously I wanted to go to support them, but it's a little bit of like those are my people. I need to go and support them,
exactly. And I think that's another thing that I really appreciated about Norman Music Fest this year is I was able to go and support the people I've been making connections
your
with.
friends. That's what I love. About meeting musicians and meeting the bands. But anyways, I just wanted to. Kind of go through the list, but they had Caleb Collins, great comedian, used to run a great open mic at Fairweather Friends, which is unfortunately closing now. But anyways, he was great to see because he hadn't been doing it, and it's been a little while since he's performed, and he was amazing as always. They had the very wonderful Julie Drake, who performs at Bricktown all the time, and she does a lot of big shows, has opened for a lot of big comics. So it's great to see her. Houston Gandy, who's also a musician, I believe. He's one of the ones that
I recognize his name.
Yeah. I don't know him personally, but I've seen him perform comedy at least one other time. Lynn Kay, amazing. She was really good. Natalie Perez, also a good friend of ours, does lots of shows for Nick Campbell. Great performer. And then Derek Smith, who I've known actually, he used to live here. I met him when I was working at Hideaway Pizza in 2006.
Oh, wow.
And he was just starting stand-up comedy, I think, then, because I remember he would do some shows back then at Speakeasy and stuff like that. But he moved. He's been gone for over a decade and moved to Chicago to really get into, because there was such the scene here, it's even currently isn't the biggest scene, but even back then it was nothing. So definitely one of those ones that I've always thought of him as he got out to do it at the big time. But he comes back often, and he's very, very good, been doing it a long time. So shout out to all those people.
Shout out.
just wanted to say I've got a lot of great photos, so you can look forward to that. But yeah, so shout out to Wampus for putting that wonderful, great lineup together. I just wanted to say because, all top-notch performers. So yeah, that was a great show, and they kept it real tight. Like I said, it might have only been an hour, which is pretty impressive to get.
Yeah, that's a lot of comics.
About maybe
for an
hour. Maybe 15 minutes each or so, or maybe even less. I don't know, 12 minutes, but they're great. So moving on to the music, just I had to get through that because
no, you're good. I get
those
it.
are our
rhythm
people,
and wit
for sure.
Yes.
And yeah, just like I said, I spend way more time with comics than I do with musicians these days, which is not a bad thing. Okay, so my lineup, let's see. I think the first band, so I went there, Cat Lock. She was the one that I was most excited about that night because it's been a long time since she's even performed, I think. So I think maybe you were telling me that.
Yeah, it's been a while, but she's back and she is wonderful.
So I got to see her
yes.
at Resonator, and yeah, it was a great show.
I think that was the only day Resonator put on shows.
Yeah, because I think otherwise they shut down because it's
the main stage stuff.
Yeah, right by the main stage. So, and then I think they even have it. They kind of use it for like a green room.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
I was like, they definitely use it for a green room. I think for the main stage acts for sure.
So yeah, that was cool to see because I saw her and she was wonderful. I think she's putting out a new single or something's coming out soon that she was promoting.
Yes, she's also performing at Jazz in June.
Yeah, I just saw that too.
In Norman. So shout out her.
Hopefully see more of her because she's a very good pop rock type vibe. And then right after her was Bugnog. Are you familiar with them?
Oh, I'm familiar with Bugnog. Actually, the drummer is my neighbor.
Oh, wow,
yeah,
cool.
I grew up with him.
Awesome.
With Brent.
Because, I didn't know. I've heard of the name, obviously, but I didn't even know what type of music it was. But, it was very,
they were
very
the only
heavy.
actual metal band at the festival.
Oh, okay.
If you looked up, because on the app they said
like the genres.
The genres. They were the only one under metal. And I did see them on Friday at Red Brick. Yes.
Okay. Oh, so they played. Yeah. So I got to see a little bit of them. Like metal is definitely not my jam usually. I mean, they're incredible and and their stuff was really cool. It's not like some of it. I like some metal more than others.
Yes,
what I mean? And theirs was definitely more of my jam than. But yeah, metal. So I probably watched them a little bit more than I even wanted to. But they're incredible, and it was cool. Just a 2-piece, right?
Yes, because it's
singer,
just
and they both sing. But
it's just guitar and drums.
Yeah, they're
which is really cool.
Really cool. And like I said, that kind of sucks that they're the only metal band, though.
Yeah, I know, because there is a very big alt DIY metal scene.
But that kind of, I don't know, it kind of goes along with that, I guess, because, if it is more DIY, then it's not so much. But yeah, so those were 2 at Resonator that I got to catch. And then I kind of popped around and tried to see, I saw, because it was like Bugnog and him and the Mother Superiors were playing at Opolis at the same time. So then I saw that, and I was like, oh, I got to run. And I caught like two songs of theirs, which I love them. They're one of my favorite local bands for the past decade or whatever they've been doing it. Very, very cool, psychedelic kind of blues rock.
Ooh, yeah.
I remember telling you about them before.
I have still yet to see them.
Yeah, they haven't played in a while.
Yeah.
But I think the lead singer maybe had lost in the family over the past year, so I think that kind of put a damper on things for a while. But they're back and as great as they've ever been. So I only got to see a couple of songs, but I got some really good photos. That was kind of my main thing, was like trying to catch at least a good variety of different acts just to get some photos. And then also, no. So I got to see a little bit of them, but then after they played was a band, Cherry Laurel.
Yes, Cherry Laurel.
Yes. And I never,
they're very good.
I never got to see them since you told me about them, and I listened to some of their stuff online, and I always liked that because it's kind of an indie, psychedelic
indie surf rock almost kind of
which
vibe.
Is definitely up. That's my stuff right there. So like I've listened to some of their stuff online and really liked it, And
they're all very talented, and you can tell they really care.
And there's like 6 people in that group, which is cool.
And 2 of them actually perform with Keithley and the Burning Bras as well.
Okay, yeah. I need to check them out because I think I follow them online, but yeah. So I got to see a couple of their songs too because they played at Opolis.
Yes.
It was packed in the Opolis that night.
Opolis was I love Opolis, and I will always go to Opolis. Yeah. It was so impossible to be in there during Normie Music Fest, which is a good thing, honestly. I want them to have all those people in there. But as someone, like, I had cameras, I was sweaty, I was like, I can't. I've seen all these people before. Right. I'm just going to, I'll set this one out. You know what I mean?
Because, that was cool. And when I was there, luckily, because they have those benches along, so you can kind of stand. I was standing up and, like, got some good shots, like, over the crowd.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to, like I said, I've been struggling. I've struggled to keep up with all my photos in general. So like trying to go back and edit them. Hopefully I'll have some up by this weekend.
I honestly feel like Opolis is like a secret other main stage that is not talked about because it does have a lot more, I would say, well-known acts.
I think so. Yeah. I think you're right. I think it's like definitely.
It's very well run and established.
Like if you just stayed at Opolis the whole festival, you would see.
You'd still be satisfied completely.
It would be like, because they do have some of the best, I think the best performers at that stage versus anywhere else. But I mean, it makes sense because they're the ones where most of these people play at throughout the year.
Exactly.
So, you know.
And they're wonderful people. They're a wonderful co-op. And they were so helpful. Hey, shout out Opolis because they were so helpful when I was like, can I bring my camera equipment in here? And they're like, well, of course.
Yeah,
well, of course. And I was
nice.
like, okay, thank you guys. Thank you so much. So they were super helpful and just friendly staff, which I always appreciate. Not that any other place I went to was not friendly staff. I just adore Opolis.
They're amazing. There are some of the people I want to do some interviews with them or something one day. I would love to like go. I mean, obviously you'd want to go to there and do. Maybe we could plan something. You
should go on a Weirder Wednesday.
Yeah,
because then you'd see Jarvix.
I did get to go to that one Weirder Wednesday a few months back. Finally, I've never been to one. So.
I love them. I wish I could honestly go to them more often, and I will be doing that this summer because they genuinely. I see some of the coolest stuff there.
I guess, well, on that note, real quick, I got one more band to talk about.
Okay.
But
well, yes.
On the Weirder, because something that's starting to happen now, there's Mycelium Gallery, a gallery that I'm very good friends with the owners of, and they do a lot of cool stuff. They're starting to have some of those acts come play there because, I mean, that's straight, their vibe is very expressionist and weird and like, so it makes sense. But they had a guy, Meteorology, Brett Fieldcamp.
Yes,
he played there. He did an album release thing at the gallery.
He does
a couple weeks ago.
Journalism as well.
Yeah,
right?
He's a writer.
Yes, because he does On the Scene.
Yeah, the podcast.
Yes.
Which
I would love to meet him. He seems.
Oh
wonderful.
yeah, he's awesome. Yeah, I'll have to. Because I got to talk to him a little bit because he opened the show. I wasn't there for the, but he opened up the entire festival at the Opolis. He was the first act, but he's awesome. But it's very experimental type guitar looping and all that stuff. So, so it's starting to cross over from Weirder Wednesdays, and Mycelium Gallery has a lot of those same people. Because there's another guy called Bugbear. Have you heard of him? He's a solo. He plays some guitar. I know he's a guitar.
Does he have a beard?
I think so.
And often wears a
tank top. He does like, well, I don't know, but on stage, what he does is this whole gimmick is like this forest type. He like puts on all this kind of crazy costume thing and like headgear and like, so yeah, he played at the gallery after, because the one Weirder Wednesday I went to, he was there, Meteorology, and a third act called Unicorn Hunted is going to be. I've heard of them. They played Weirder Wednesday also, I think this Saturday. Is it this Saturday? I think they're going to be playing at the gallery, or it's just one person. But it's very cool kind of just weird experimental stuff.
That is
which
cool.
is awesome. But like I said, I just wanted to shout that out because it's a cool, interesting thing to bring. Like I said, because Weirder Wednesday obviously is great, but it's all the way in Norman. So it's like if you do, they don't really have it
in the city.
Yeah, so the gallery is kind of picking up that torch. But anyways, back to the festival real quick for me. Anyways, last band I got to see was very good friends of mine. Space Cowboy played.
Space Cowboy.
Again, Thursday. It was late Thursday. Played at 11, I think, at Blue Bonnet.
I love Blue Bonnet.
And
I love a good dive bar.
I had to go out there and see them. The bass player girl and singer is getting married.
Aw, congratulations.
In like a couple months, I think in June. So that's cool. But I haven't seen them in a long time. And so I was very happy to get to see them again and support them and, catch up a little bit and got some good shots. But, of course, Space Cowboys, kind of heavy rock, psychedelic, but
we
kind
saw
of
them
blues.
Last year, I think,
Because, they also played that Thursday last year. It was like at midnight or something. It was super late. But I don't know. That's part of why I like those Thursday shows. It's like you just go out there and stay till 1 in the morning and just watch a bunch of bands. And like you said, it's all free and just walk around and kind of, it's like that. I always think of it it was almost like a little Norman music preview, festival kind
That's a beautiful way to put that, actually.
Kind of kick off a little, it's nice, but
This episode of Rhythm and Wit was brought to you by Campbell & Son Electric, Oklahoma City's trusted one-truck electrical contractor with over 20 years of experience in the field. Whether it's upgrading your home's electrical service, troubleshooting issues, or tackling small commercial projects, Campbell & Son Electric delivers top-notch work with care and attention you'd expect from a family business. Servicing areas like Del City, Edmond, Yukon, Mustang, and beyond, they're your go-to for reliable expert service. Need help with your next project? Visit CampbellandSonElectric.com today and get it done right the first time. Campbell & Son Electric, brightening Oklahoma, one wire at a time.
So that was kind of my thing. Like I said, I didn't get to go Friday because there was another show that I had to be at here in the city. And then it ended up being, I think I didn't even get out of that show till like 10. So it would have been super late if I would have tried to make it.
Yeah, it would have been very late to go there,
And then Saturday. So anyways, you can take it from here. Who did you see? Did you see anyone on Thursday that day or no?
I saw Will Gibson.
Yeah.
And they're kind of like an Americana folky country bluesy band, and I need to interview him so bad because I just caught like very much a glimpse. It was in Opolis.
Okay.
I was very sweaty and I was like, this sounds really good, but I'll catch him another time when it's not like humid and hot.
Yeah, right.
But him and I have been kind of trying to set up a interview for that. And to be so honest, David, I don't remember anything else. I don't think I saw
that night.
Yeah, I don't know any other artists that
because like
I
you said,
remember
that
seeing.
was your birthday, and so you're probably just trying to enjoy yourself.
Yes,
a little bit.
and I had like such a long day.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, it was like just very long in general, and I've been having like a lot of stuff at school anyways. But Friday, I started off kind of the festival, I want to say with Keithley and the Burning Bras, from what I directly remember, and that's because the documentary crew is with. I was with a documentary crew at the festival.
So they were making something for school project, right?
Yeah. Mark Scott, shout out my professor Mark Scott. I am not in his documentary class, but part of the final project is for his documentary students is to collaborate on a full documentary together.
So what all did you help with exactly with that?
I kind of like helped them, like if they needed access to the barricades to film. I was like
kind of their go between for the media.
Exactly. And I was there too to basically be like, hey, if you need an interview with a band, like let me know. I am here. I have the connections.
Yeah, you know a lot of them too, so that's cool.
And also I had the press pass so I could make that initial contact and It would benefit all of us at the end of the day.
Yeah. So that seemed exciting. When you said that, I was like, man, I was jealous, but only because like, man, it's like I want a crew.
Yeah, no, it was nice to like see them all working together. Honestly, and they're fabulous, wonderful filmmakers. All of them
that's cool.
were there and do their thing.
Yeah,
and then
one day I'll make a documentary, I think.
Yes, you will. Yes. So I saw Keithley and the Burning Bras. Fabulous, amazing, stunning, wonderful. Loved them.
What's the genre, or what would you describe that as?
Definitely indie rock.
Yeah.
It's giving Julia Jacqueline. Kind of giving. Sorry, me and my professor were talking about it. You just have to honestly see Keithley to get the vibe. I would definitely say kind of like almost our generation's Mazzy Star, like Gen Z's Mazzy Star kind of vibe.
Kind of
for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I
except she's a lot more like rough in the vocals, which I love. I love a good like kind angry woman.
Yeah, kind of
yeah.
growly or I don't know what the vocal like.
I would say, like, there's just, like, elements of, like, folk. She really did a lot of different, like, kind of genre vibe, I guess, if you want to put it in, like, a general genre, indie rock.
Well, that's what's interesting, because what was the band you were talking about earlier? We were just talking about them. No, like, in the beginning of the episode, I was, maybe it was Gavin Taylor.
Oh, yes, style. The muffled,
you had mentioned something about somebody's describing someone's style.
Oh, Nicolette Moore, and that her hypnagogic kind of like pop vibe,
And I think that's interesting because like it seems like today, especially with new artists, it's like you so many people are just creating their own genres because it's like so many blends of like it could be like 3 or 4 different genres that are very different, but you putting things together. And I love that because that's something that going back to Ex Machina, it's similar to that, and it's like he describes his music as a dark lo-fi glitch.
Yeah.
So it's like, kind of glitchy lo-fi music. It's like everyone knows lo-fi music, but it's like it's like that, but it's glitchy, but then it's got this dark atmospheric type vibe. So it's like you put those together, and it's like you just have a new genre, And
like Stepmom, they call themselves like orchestral punk and like different things like that.
So I think that's cool. So I bet, I would imagine that Keithley and the Burning Bras is that type of vibes. It's like they're just creating their own shit. Yeah. Like,
the Burning Bras as a band, very talented. Obviously, Keithley's talented as well. Who else did I see that day? My days are honestly blending together. I know for a fact I saw Dinosaur Boyfriend for the first time. And I had met, I think, one of the band members at your house show. Like
because he's good friends with Josh.
Yes.
Yeah, I think he was at maybe this past one, I think. I don't know. Yeah. But they're really great. I've seen them.
They're wonderful.
I've seen them a couple times at least.
Definitely
over
giving
the past year.
Mags vibes. If you know that artist Mags, where it's like starts off like kind of soft and nice, and then it's like
it's very intense.
Yeah.
It can, or like you said, it's kind of almost like a roller coaster a little bit.
And I loved seeing them. And you could tell they just like get along as a band and they care about each other as a band. So it was really good to see that.
A large group. I feel like there's like maybe 5 of them at least or so. But
there's
they have like
5 of them, yes.
They have like a keyboard player.
They have
couple
guitarist. Lead singer, drummer, and bassist.
Yeah, they're awesome. So where did they play at?
Red Brick Bar, and before them performed
that's
Bug
a small
Nog.
stage too.
Very small stage for all 6, for all 5 of them to be up there. But they did wonderful with the space that they were given, and the sound guy at Red Brick is fabulous in general. So they did a beautiful set.
Nice.
And then I also saw Bug Nog right before because I had to pay my respects to Brent. He's wonderful. Nice. I love Bug Nog so much, and I'm not like very much like a very. The best way I can describe their music is like greasy metal.
Yeah.
Like it just like is like you don't think it could get heavier and it gets heavier. But I love that. And I love that I could see a glimpse of that at Norman Music Fest because I feel like often Norman Music Fest is definitely more of like the indie rock genre is what I'm seeing most of.
It's
mostly
or
like folk indie or things like that. Yeah.
I would say it seems like the majority is probably rock in general. Like, I mean, but it's like that.
Like softer rock.
Yeah, lots of variations of rock, but not so much metal or even punk. I mean, there are some hardcore bands. Did you get to catch Limp Wizards at all?
No, I have never seen a Limp Wizard set, and I need to honestly do that. I want to see a Limp Wizard set so badly. And I just never, like, they are performing on days where I just am never free. But I will make my way.
Yeah. I know that I would have liked to see them. I've seen them at least once before over the past year, but they're really good. So I think that's something about, I've never been into hardcore music at all. Yeah. Like, I like punk music, you know, some of it, you know, more than others, but for whatever reason, that band, Limp Wizard, is incredible. Like, it doesn't matter what, if you're into live rock music, you gotta go see them.
Oh, absolutely. And then if you get asked Reedy to perform, I know he does some crazy stunts. So
did you get to see him at all?
I did on Saturday. I catched a bit of his set, and he's wonderful as always. But I see a lot of S. Reedy shows. You know, I actually, I think earlier in the month, or end of March, I saw he had a local show.
Yeah, was it like a house show?
Yeah, he had a house show. That's the word I'm looking for. And with Sky Hemingway, and I love both of them dearly, and they're wonderful people. And it was good to see them all perform together. Yeah, honestly.
So yeah, what about? So you say Dinosaur Boyfriend, Bugnog,
and
else?
Keithley and the Burning Bras.
Yeah,
to be honest,
the main ones,
don't remember anything else.
Nobody else.
So sorry.
At least, well,
those are the ones that I to a point are in the memory, and then. All of them wonderful, all of them amazing, as expected. Yeah. Very professional groups.
Cool.
And then Saturday, I saw Bailey Boy. I ended the festival with Bailey Boy. I love Bailey Boy.
Where was that at?
It was at Blue Bonnet. And I had seen her a week or two prior at Blue Bonnet as well. Oh, okay. She's just amazing to see, and she's just one of the most kind, loving people I've ever met. And I just know if I'm going to a show and she's going to be there, I'm going to have a good time, no matter what. Even if she's just in the crowd, I just know I'm going to have a good time if she's there. So I ended my festival with her, and that's where I saw Electra, and they were wonderful to talk to. And that, I guess I'm kind of going to the end before I go to the beginning, but to be so real, I don't think I saw Labris. I kind of would catch glimpses of sets, but I never watched a full set until I watched Bailey Boy's set. So that's the one that sticks out to me the most for sure. And just kind of going into Blue Bonnet at 11 p.m. and everything's crowded and you can't really breathe and everyone's up against each other, but then you find someone or one person you may know and they grab you by the arm and they're like, we're in this together, we're here to see the music. It was beautiful, genuinely, and Bailey was wonderful performing as always, but just the crowd interactions I was having with people made me feel whole. It made me have a genuinely thankful gratefulness for human connection and how far we've come to be able to put our phones down and say, you know what, we're here and we're going to be in the moment and we're going to hold each other's hands and we're going to sing along to this local girl's songs and we're going to know all the words and we're going to love every bit of it.
That's awesome.
You know what I mean? And that was very beautiful to see. And I think that's what Norman Music Fest is. It is human connection at its finest. It is networking at its finest. It's beautiful, it's free, it gets people down, and at the end of the day, I will always love Norman Music Fest. I mean, when I moved to Colorado, I literally drove down just to come here.
That's definitely my favorite time of the year. I mean, I never miss it. At least, like I said, this year, I had planned on going more than I did, but even getting to go for that one day, I felt like I did so much, even just in that Thursday night. I got to see so many friends, and I mean the word I keep thinking about with it is just the community. Right?
Community,
it's
yes.
You know, it's our festival. You know, it's like you said, it's a networking, and it's it's almost like a music convention in a way of everyone just comes together in the same place for a one weekend and just show
for the love of music,
just shares their music, and then like I said, you get to catch a lot of people that maybe you've heard about, but always, maybe not get to see during the year. And it's incredible. It's definitely a great thing for the music and art community to have, just to without it, it's like it would be. I think we'd all struggle a lot more to.
I completely agree.
Get anywhere in some ways.
Yeah, and I think without Norman Music Fest, Oklahoma would not have as big as a scene as it does.
Yeah,
because Oklahoma's music scene is really. Honestly, bursting at the seams at this point. I feel like I'm hearing new, wonderful, talented artists every single day. And I understand people have gripes with the festival. But also, at the end of the day, they are a business and they have to do what they have to do to make people keep coming.
I always and I've said this before, it's like I've never, I might criticize and complain about it, but it's like I would never... I don't envy them.
Yeah. No, it's a hard job.
It's like I wouldn't want to do that. So I understand it's like it's not easy, and it's not easy to make everyone happy either.
Exactly.
So
and I feel like I've never been able to tell if something's gone haywire, like crew-wise or sound-wise. And
honestly, they run a tight
ship for sure. They run that stuff like the Navy, but it pays off. Yeah. I love going, and I literally traveled to see it in 2020.
They do an amazing job. I think it is fair too. People, if you're not happy with it, then speak up. But also, it's like you have to
be respectful.
You have to understand
genuine criticism. You know what I mean? Like, we can complain all day, but at the end of the day, we have to think of it kind of in they're a business entity, and they're going to do what benefits the business.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's many festivals, and I think Oplus is, I want to say they did Autumn Days this last year,
I've heard of that, but I've never been to it.
Oplus is starting to do a lot of cool things. Go to your local music venues, please, for the love of God. And don't be scared to network yourself. I'm not a musician, so I can't really say that in the musician sense. But as someone whose job is networking, go up and say hi to someone.
I think
send an email at the very least.
That's something that I want to talk more about, especially as I want to start getting more musicians over here to interview. But I think that there's one of the big problems with the community now currently are people, musicians in the community. It's like everyone thinks of it as a competition. And I think that it's not a competition at all. I
completely agree.
I think that it's the people that think of that is like you're wasting your time because it's like nobody's better than anyone else. We're all just trying to get any type of stage time, and if anybody's doing better, it's better for everyone. You know what I mean? Like if anybody gets a big break or a big,
well, that's a big break for Oklahoma.
Yeah, exactly. It's like we need
and gets more eyes on the scene.
Yeah, so it's like we need to help each other instead of trying to complain. Oh, this band got in, but I didn't, or whatever. It's like you just got to go and support them because. If you're sad and sitting at home and I don't want to go because I didn't get in, it's like you need to go and support those people because that's a part
and talk to them.
Well, it's like that's a part of the problem is that if nobody's, in my opinion, the Oklahoma as a whole or Oklahoma City is like they has a big problem with supporting local music.
Yes.
It seems like nobody wants to get out of the house. I mean, that's a whole other.
That's a whole topic for another day. But
and then a struggle that we, Nick and I think about and talk about all the time because it's like, how do you we're competing with Netflix and we're competing with video games and whatever. It's like sitting at home and there's so much entertainment that you can have not leaving the house, but there's a special thing when you get out and see someone performing live, and to me it's something that it's incredible because I think one of the reasons why I'm obsessed with performance art in general is that it's real, it's happening there.
Yes.
It only happens that one time. I mean,
because you could play the same songs over and over, but it's a different song each time. Do you know what I mean?
It's going to be a different experience, even if you see the same band. You know what I mean? It's like definitely, or even if you compare it to recorded music, it's definitely not the same at all. I mean,
if you, in my opinion, view music and the music industry, I understand it is competitive, and again, I'm not a musician, so I might be talking out of my ass right now.
Yeah.
But I feel like if you view your art in a very selfish context as I'm making this for me and only me, you're not an artist.
Yeah.
And that's just my personal opinion.
I mean, I don't know.
Art
I think
is for the people, and art is selfless and not selfish.
I think the there's some of, I think it can go either way. I think you're right. I mean, I think that it's, art isn't, to me, I think that if you create anything, you create it because we do create it for ourselves because we need it. It's a reflection of yourself.
Yes.
It's something that's inside of you that you want to share, but I do think that there are a lot of artists that create and don't share it with anyone. And I think that's completely acceptable also.
1,000%.
Because it's just people can use it as a therapy a part of it. I think when you create anything that's artistic or creative, that whether it's music or comedy or visual art, it's like you're putting a part of yourself into the world. Whether you want to share that with people or not is up to you. But once you do share with other people, it isn't yours anymore. Yeah. Like you said, it is for the people to
interpret.
And then they can hopefully see something that they can reflect.
Maybe a universal truth.
Yeah, that's like they see something in themselves in it, and it helps us communicate and share our emotions and thoughts or ideas with each other in a different way that's more impactful than even words can do, or in a different way. But
and I get that point a lot. But I was mainly like just referring to people who are like, this is a competition and I have to be the best. Like I said, only, to quote Billy Joel, only fools are satisfied. If you think that you're the best always, you're not the best.
Yeah.
No one's the best.
I do see that a lot, though. I think that there's a lot of like jealousy.
Yes, animosity.
There's
for sure.
There's a lot of like, and I think that just only hurts you if you're, and it's like, it doesn't matter. What difference does it make if I'm jealous of someone else? That doesn't affect them at all.
No. And then you're wasting time
you're
when
just
you could be
upset
using that energy to get better at your art.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's something that I do see a lot. I said, and that's a lot of, even comedy. I'm sure there's a lot of that also. But in comedy, I don't know. I don't see it as much, I feel like.
Yeah. I feel like comedy, though, and please, because I don't watch many comics, and I want to, but I feel like it's definitely like more of a personal thing, because like you're talking about your life experiences.
It's just one, and you're usually just one person as opposed to like a group of people. I think you do have, as a band, you kind of get that, group mentality thing, maybe. I don't know. But so I don't know. That's just something I've been thinking a lot about, especially with the festival and everything. So I don't know.
I enjoyed it a lot this year, I would say, and I went alone. Like and though I was alone and drove myself there and was sober the whole time, doesn't mean I wasn't like alone.
Right,
and we kind of talked about that too. Like we may have shown up by ourselves, but we still met people along the way. We met up with people who we knew, but we didn't feel, because we kind of expressed this together before we recorded. I never felt tied down or like I had to do something specific. I was free to do whatever I wanted.
Yeah, because that's something like I was definitely, I'd mentioned like I was trying to jumping around and saw a couple of songs from each, because that is kind of one problem, which is not necessarily a bad problem, but there's like so many bands that are playing at the same time that you want to see. It's like, I want to see this band and that band that are playing. So you kind of have to. But I think that is a nice thing when you can just run around and just see whoever you want to see.
Exactly.
And then not, because one thing I wanted to mention before we wrap up anyways was that I didn't get to see, like last year I went both days. There was only 2 days, but I did a kind of a video thing, and I liked that, the coverage aspect and trying to share that stuff. And then luckily we got to at least talk a little bit about what we each experienced. But one, if you're interested in more coverage from the festival, Brett Fieldcamp put out some stuff on Oklahoma Free Press. I know he's got at least one article about it, and I'm sure he's got more. I don't know what he's got planned.
I think he had posted at least 2. And I know the Norman Transcript had several freelance press people there that do music journalism explicitly.
But another group that I wanted to shout out are a couple that the Martin Dupross, they're good friends of mine. They're comedians and producers, but they work with the Oklahoma Gazette. So they were there working in collaboration with the Gazette, but they did a lot of they were there all 3 days, and I got to hang out with them a little bit Thursday, but they were literally bouncing around. They tried to see as many acts as they could.
Oh, I'm sure.
And like just take some shots, and they were posting. So follow the Martin Dupross on Instagram and Oklahoma Gazette. They're out there, trying to keep that paper alive and keep it going, and
buy your local paper, please.
Because I love the Gazette. I want to see them continue to grow and get back to where they were in its heyday, which that was like my favorite paper for my entire teens and 20s, or, they were the local source for all music and everything. So it was really cool to see Jeremy and Lauren out there and, helping them try to cover the festival. But I was talking to Jeremy last night, actually, and we were talking about it, and like they saw so many acts, but even still, he thinks that they probably only got to see maybe a third of the entire everyone.
It was huge this year, I feel
it's so impossible to actually watch it, everyone, but just as many acts as they have, and so wonderful festival as always.
Very much so. I
can't wait till next year, and maybe I'll have a group again together next year, and we'll see if I get to play it. But so I think that's it for the show. Was there anything we missed that you can think that you wanted to bring up? I don't know.
Honestly,
I think we
no.
We kind of covered a lot. So
we did cover a lot. I'm tired.
Great. Yeah.
I've had a long
time
day.
to wrap it up. But so just shout out where people can find you again on your Instagram.
I have a new Instagram.
Okay.
It's called Kenna Media, and I'll send you the link to that. That's kind of where I'll be posting all my journalism things. It's just going to be a wide variety of everything I do.
Just all media. Right?
All media things I do. You can check me out on LinkedIn. Anyone's hiring. At Kenna Attaway, and then kensgrooves.com is my blog, and there's a link tree on Kenna Media that will link you to everything I've been doing lately. So
great. And then we already kind of talked about what's coming up. So was there any shows that you're excited about? I should have did this just before, but that you can think of any. I know that there's something.
Pineapple Willows is in May.
May 13th. They're
friend
playing.
Of the scene, Dante.
We can do a little promo for them real quick. But Tuesday, May 13th is going to be at Resident Head. We've got a band. I think they're a touring band. They're called Cheerleader Roadkill. And Dante told me they hit them up about openings. I don't know, like they found Pineapple Willows and asked them to perform. So Pineapple Willows will be playing with them.
New band member as well.
Yeah,
they've kind of been doing a rebrand.
New bass player. So that's gonna be Cheerleader Roadkill with Jade and Pineapple Willows.
Shout out.
And let's just read it. Party time and one night only for Cheerleader Roadkill, Jade, and Pineapple Willows. All at Resident Head, May 13th. Doors at 7, show at 8, 21 and up. Come party and rage on a night you won't forget. I'm not sure how much the tickets are, but you can get those. I know Resident Head.
You can go on their website. They won't be more than like $25 on only.
And that's such an amazing venue. I'm gonna try to go to this because I've only been there once, and it's just they really, really put the time into making it sound as good as it can possibly sound. I think that's why it's called the Resonant Head. It's like that's like the
it's
drum.
It's beautiful
part.
Too.
It's amazing. The lighting and everything in there. It's an incredible venue. So go check them out. Another one, I wanted to pull this up because
I honestly forgot that Yeah. Oh, Catlock, Jazz in June.
Yes, go see Catlock.
I think it's June 21st, if I'm correct.
Anyways, yes. We will hopefully see you at that show, and hopefully we'll see you, Kenna, again back here maybe in like a month or two.
Oh, absolutely.
After we seen a couple shows, we can come back and report on.
Absolutely, yes.
All right. Okay. Well, thank you for coming. Yes. And peace, everyone. Have a good day.